Hey, Craig.
It's all on you, it's all on me. Can't you see? It's all on you, it's all on me. You and me, can't you? It's all on you, it's all on me.
Hey, Craig. Right or wrong, we don't care. Win or lose, we don't care. We don't care. We don't care. We don't care.
Hey, Jeff.
Craig. It's a brave new
Try-
world, my friend.
Trying something new. Trying to up with the podcast times, which I've noticed every podcast does this. And here, we don't have the episode number listed. We got to do things.
That's true. This will be
where we're
episode
at?
226, I believe. 226.
226. So, yeah.
226.
So this is Podcast versus Everyone 226, and we are doing something different. We are recording ourselves on video while we do this.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I would like
Maybe-
to formally apologize to everyone who did not. I mean, I don't know. I mean, our picture's on the thing, but also like, I don't know, it's a fairly old picture and it's us being like totally goofy. Well, now you get to see, if you've never met us before, now you see what we actually look like. And I'm sorry if we are disappointing you right now. My apologies.
Yeah. And I mentioned this was episode 226. I'm Craig Powers right here. With me, as usual, is Jeff Newser. And
Yeah, it says our
Jeff.
names on the screen.
Yeah, it does. It's Craig
Yeah.
and Jeff.
It's the miracle of technology.
Yeah, and we'll see. Maybe some of you like to watch us talk. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, they've been uploading on YouTube, so I guess now there can be video to
Yeah.
be uploaded on
Yeah.
YouTube as well.
Yep.
But
Yep.
yeah, so Jeff, enough talk about ourselves. Wazoo played a football game last Saturday that didn't quite go the way that we thought it would, but it was a win. I believe I said before that game that I thought that the Wazoo offense could put up 40 points a game against its remaining schedule. That included Fresno. And I'll say after that game, Fresno's defense is rated 100th in SP+, even including that game, which was probably their best defensive game of the year. And WSU had a horrendous offensive game. There's no way to put it. It was less than 5 yards to play, 19 points, obviously because 6 of those came from the defense. They looked like they were fine after the first 2 drives. Obviously, they needed a few third down conversions, but there was some explosion. They were getting some 15, 20-yard plays in there. And then everything just came to a halt. They couldn't move the ball. They were stuck on 13 for almost 2 quarters, and then the offense really only got 2 field goals in the second half. One of them on a drive on a pretty short field. So it's just I'm excited about the win, but I think you wrote about it. There is cause for concern with this offense. That is just not a good offense. That is not a good offensive performance, and that it does make you worry about how the offense went in the tank last year for a significant period of time, that they might be doing it again.
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, I wrote pretty extensively about the play calling, and not like specific plays, right? Because neither one of us are, coaches who are well versed in scheme or anything like that. Right. But you can sort of, tell some things just sort of like philosophically if you kind of break some things down into some, broad buckets, right? So like, if you say, okay, passes versus runs, and which ones were designed passes, which ones were designed runs. And then among the designed passes, were we talking dropbacks or screens, right? And then with runs, it's like, okay, are we talking QB keepers or are we talking tailback handoffs, right? As Jake Dicker called it, which, is what it is. And so, when you kind of break it down to those four buckets, there was a pretty good mix in the first half. It obviously, the most was dropbacks, which is, it's the year 2024. That's what you're going to have in 2024 is, you're going to have a greater proportion of dropbacks than anything else because you're going to throw the ball. But the question is, okay, so what other things are you doing? How are you mixing things in? How are you keeping defenses honest? And in the first half, they did a pretty good job of that with some mixes of all sorts of different things, including with handoffs, doing a couple of wide receiver handoffs, right? Like they did a little end around for the, I believe the second touchdown, right, with Chris Hudson.
Right.
And then they had I think a later drive, a handoff to Kyle Williams coming around the end. So, nice little mix, some QB keepers in there. Like, okay, we're kind of doing it. And honestly, Fresno was making them work for it, but it was only the two Mateer turnovers that really sort of kept it from being even more, right? They were moving the ball. They just, Mateer has a fumble that, I can't remember, but I think that might've been his first fumble this year. Do you recall?
I think it's his first fumble of the year, and it was only WSU's second total and on the first one that they had lost.
Yeah. So uncharacteristically puts the ball on the ground, and then unfortunately characteristically tries to force the ball into the end zone and gets picked off. But, you look at that and you go, hey, you're going to make some mistakes and they'll probably be fine. And then second half just like pivoted to something completely different. It was like 90% dropbacks. Well, let me rephrase that. Like 90% passes, and then like 70% of those passes or 80% of those passes were dropbacks, which when I think John Mateer, I think maybe not a exclusively dropback passer. So on the one hand, it's frustrating and it's irritating, and it's sort of like, it's the sort of thing that kind of made me kind of mad as I was watching the game. But on the other hand, you go, okay, is it correctable? Yeah, it's correctable. Jake Dicker sat at his press conference and basically two different times said we didn't run the ball enough. Ben Arbuckle's got to call more runs, basically, right? So it's correctable. I feel like a lot of what they dealt with last year was honestly just the line getting found out. And, they kind of papered over that for a while, and then eventually they couldn't do it anymore. You just can't scheme around it. Well, this year, the offensive line I don't think is a super strength, but also I don't think they're, a major liability, especially against this schedule with the opponents that we're playing from here on out. So I'm sort of both, right? Like I'm like the play calling's got to get better, but that's correctable. So it kind of gives me hope that we're not facing the same kind of cliff we had last year.
Well, and obviously they've shown the ability to put up points. We know they have talent, obviously, in wideouts, even adding to that, getting Carlos Hernandez back. Schlembecker is back and healthy. So they have their full set of offensive weapons. John, if you're not having him throw the ball 70-80% of the time, like he has shown some improvement, but it's just, if you're forcing him to make decisions over and over and over again, like he's gonna push the ball somewhere at some point. You're just raising the probability of that stuff happening, and you're taking out. I think teams have figured out a strategy for keeping him in the pocket and keeping him from escaping. He was escaping through the middle a lot early in the season, and you're not seeing that anymore. So I think they're keeping an eye out for that. WC's got to adjust back. There's got to be a way to exploit that. Like if a team's so hell bent on, protecting that middle of the field and not letting him get loose, there's got to be a way to exploit that. But you would hope, and you have this quarterback who's such a superlative runner, like such a good like as good as any running back you have on the roster when he has the ball in his hands.
Yeah.
You got to figure out some more ways. Like they don't seem to run very much RPO or zone read, like true zone read. Like it seems like most of the handoffs are just straight handoffs or straight QB runs. You don't see that kind of mesh handoff action very often. So it's like it's just kind of weird to like be like, okay, we're gonna throw. It's like, yeah, you do have talented wideouts, and I get that you want to get the ball in their hands. But honestly, John isn't shown to be super accurate on screen passes, so those aren't even like it. You know, in Leach's offense, they were designed to be like an extended handoff, but Leach also got guys who were insanely accurate within 15 yards.
Yeah.
And so they could make those passes. And
where you put the ball on the receiver makes all the difference, right? Like you got to hit him right in the right spot or the timing is, completely messed up.
And John was just straight up missing them sometimes. Like I think there was 3 where he just missed the receiver. Another he threw it well behind, and I think it got recorded as a drop. But it's like, that's a tough catch. But so yeah, it's like if you're ready, I'm seeing those as a pass until he shows he can be more consistent with the way he throws it. Then you could kind of see it as a run, like if your quarterback is throwing it consistently. But otherwise, like that's tough to have as a weapon if you're not able to get the ball in the right spot. If the receiver's having to come back, get the ball or lunge for it in any way, it just destroys any momentum that they have, and like it ruins the timing of the blockers. So it's just a lot of times you have like you might have pulling tackles and guards going out there. And that's all going to be timed and that throwing. But aside from that, like it's just too much. Like you got to use your best asset is, but you have this really good freshman running back and you have this really good running quarterback who can throw, but he's been such a playmaker with his feet. That's just like, I want to see that more often. And I will say that there was finally they had a real nice quick pass on a 3rd and 2 in the second. I think it was first half or second half, and it was such a rarity that they didn't run QB power on a short yardage situation.
Yeah.
So that was nice. Yeah. Maybe we'll start to see more of that.
Yeah.
Or it's kind of weird to think like maybe Arbuckle already went into his bag because the schedule was so top heavy. Basically these first 6 games, those last 5 that we just played, probably the toughest 5 games on the schedule, maybe outside of at Oregon State.
Yep.
So maybe he went through it, and hopefully he can adjust, because this just can't be like you can't be this bad against a 100th ranked defense in SP Plus.
Yeah.
Like you can't be that bad. Like I don't care if you're on the road. Like on the road, you expect some diminished quality, but not to that point.
Not like that.
There are too many good players on this offense to have that bad of an offensive game, and it almost cost you the game when your defense was actually playing pretty solid, and it almost cost you the game, and you needed the defense to bail you out with a play.
Well, and that's I think that is sort of the warning signal, right? Like, you have this horrible offensive performance, and yet you still win. So you get to be, happy about that, right? Like we're not trying to, I don't think either one of us is trying to look down on a win or anything, because wins are rad and however they happen is fine. But also, when you are, when you're writing or podcasting or whatever, you're also in the business of like, what does it mean, right? Looking forward. And, we got 6 games left. If they have another offensive performance like that, they will lose. They will have a loss that we're like, how'd they lose that game? Like that's going to happen. And I also got the sense that Dickert sort of recognized that and was communicating that to the team this week, because he went to his press conference. It was a really interesting press conference, because he spent a fair amount of time like saying the right things, but there was just sort of an edge to the way he was saying it And it felt like sometimes he felt like he was like, to me, sometimes it felt like he was saying things because he felt like it's what he's supposed to say. Right. So like he talks about, well, we won again. And, we found a different way to win, against San Jose State. The offense really had to pick up the defense. And on this one, the defense had to pick up the offense. And so, that's good. And as I'm like watching him, I'm thinking, I don't know if he actually believes this right now. Like he looks like maybe he's not, maybe he's trying to convince himself of that, or at least trying to find a positive spin. But, the more he kept talking, the more these things sort of kept leaking out of, this has got to get better, and we got to fix this. And, he really is sort of relentlessly positive, right? He's not, Mike Leach would have gotten out there and talked about the 28 things that they got to get better at. Dickert maybe doesn't quite take that, but he was about as edgy as I can recall seeing him, and he was not pleased about the offense and the play calling, and he knew exactly how many handoffs to tailbacks they had.
Yeah.
Before that last drive, he was like, we had how many? 9 handoffs, right? 9 handoffs before that last drive in the fourth quarter, tailbacks. I was like, oh, he clearly has made a point of that. So I do have faith that because he has recognized it, and I do get the sense that he's a coach who likes to empower the people who work with him and work under him. And I, probably a little too much empowerment sent it Ben Arbuckle's way up until this point. It sounds like he's putting his feet down. I would say though, like the defense, man, I'm not sure what more you could ask out of the defense. I mean, I guess, 5.4 yards per play, I guess is not like a mega dominant performance, but at the same time, like that's really good. And holding them to, 17 points or whatever. I mean, that's great. Like lots of things to love about the defensive performance, even beyond
scoring.
Ethan O'Connor for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And Ethan is just proving more and more to be just like his uncle Jason.
Just like his
Jason
uncle.
David. So he'll get burned. He'll look lost at times, and then he'll make plays because he had 2 interceptions. One pulled back by a kind of an iffy late hit that was really ridiculously called targeting to begin with, but then it was kept as a late hit on the quarterback. But he made that play, and then he ran it back 50 yards. He ran it out of the end zone. You're like, what are you doing? But he obviously saw. We saw when he had the pick 6, he's very fast.
Yeah, turns out he's real fast.
Yeah, almost 22 miles an hour.
Apparently,
on the way
according
to
to some
zone.
AI video analysis.
Yeah. So, which who knows if that's accurate, but that's
whatever.
That's kind of
we'll take it.
We see that with like soccer. They do the same thing with soccer, and that's a lot of fast soccer players will end up around there.
Yeah.
And so that that's pretty fast, especially in pads and all that. So that's good. It's nice to see him making plays. Durant made a real nice play on an interception after Mateer threw an interception late in the second half.
Yeah.
So they made plays. We knew that Mikey Keene was a quarterback that liked to give the ball away, and they took advantage of that. They really did. And O'Connor said he was able to make that interception because they ran the same play to his side earlier in the game. And so he jumped that one a little late. And so this one, he just read that they were doing that. And obviously Keene thought that he was going to trail the other receiver, and he didn't. And yeah, like it, when you look at the replay, you're like, where the heck was that guy throwing it? But honestly, it was just, he was duped into it. And we've seen Mateer on his interception in the end zone got duped into it as well. The safety kind of played coy with them. And I think like the problem with Mateer in this game was probably just like his decision making was a little slow, and that's what hurt that. If he threw that ball fast like sooner, I don't think safety gets over there. But we're talking about the defense. Yeah, defense. It was encouraging that they didn't like they held the team to at or below what they're capable of. Yeah, and that's kind of what you're hoping for. Yeah. Going forward, because most of these teams, if you had to hold them at or below what they're capable of, you probably only give up like 24 points or so.
Yeah.
So that's good to see. They missed a couple field goals. One of them was really long, so maybe they left a few points on the board. And obviously they had some penalties that really helped Wazoo. But all those count. All those count in the game. Unless you're a UW Husky, then they don't count. And you should be 7-0 or something. I don't know.
Yeah, those don't actually count. I mean, look, we had plenty of mistakes against Boise State. It counts. Yep. It's part of the game. It's part of the deal. And just because they made the mistakes and we didn't doesn't make it any. We had some big penalties too. As I said, one wiped away an interception, and there was big penalties both ways and mistakes both ways, and it was a real ugly game. It was like tough to watch it, like for much of it. It was like a grind. Yeah.
And of course, you had that little bit of extra stress because of the missed 2-point conversion to start the game. And then they try to get those points back later, and they missed that one too.
Let's talk about that. What is your feeling? Okay, so Jake Dicker, again, at his news conference, said basically, we've had that one in the bag for a few weeks. They wanted to use it when they scored first, like if they were the team to score first, because they wanted the other team essentially to have to chase them. And they just had it, hadn't really had a chance to use it, and then they decided on this one they were going to use it. And he said something to the effect of, we're going to play to win, and we're not going to play scared. I think that was the quote. Thoughts, Craig? Thoughts on that?
So I see that mentality in what Dicker does quite often. They've gone on fourth downs inside the 30 multiple times. Mm-hmm. I like that mentality, but he doesn't, in this very game, he didn't always play like that. WSU was real conservative at times. And so did he get spooked by that? I will also say, like, if you have an amazing 2-point play, maybe save it for when you really need it versus
maybe like when you really need those 2 points.
To me, they're not thinking he can say that, but they thought, we're going to blow them out. We can fuck around a little bit. Because when another game they did that in was against Portland State. Like it worked against Portland State. So I think they thought, you know what, we're better than them. They would not do that against UW. They wouldn't have done that against Texas Tech.
No. Chance.
They're just doing it against a team where they think even if we miss it, we'll be fine. And you tested the limit of that.
Yes, you did. You fucked around. You almost found out.
Yep. Man, this game was very much Wazoo fucking around and almost finding out.
Almost finding, and not quite.
Thank you, Ethan O'Connor, for not allowing them to find out.
I think we are all in the we'd rather not find out camp.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, my thing is, I have no issue with. I really truly have no issue with just aggressively going for 2. I mean, I think that especially because in college you're going from the 2-yard line instead of the 3, like in the NFL. So it's like, I mean, 2 yards is not very much. And so I am not like, if a team decided that, hey, we're just going to go for 2 every time, I'd be like, I think probably the data would bear that decision out, that over the long run, maybe not in any single given game, but over the long run, you would pick up more points.
I just have to stop you because that
Did I
sounded
flip-flop
wrong to me. It is the 3. Yeah,
it?
it's the 2. I'm pretty sure it's the 2 in the NFL.
Okay, all right. So it's the 3.
Yeah.
Regardless, I still think that, if you decided philosophically as a program, you were just gonna make it part of your identity. We're just always gonna go for 2 because that's just, we're just gonna pick up all these extra points that we can pick up. Okay, like I said, I think over the long haul, are you gonna convert more than 50% from the 3? And I think the answer is yes. So fine, if that's what you're gonna do. Where I get like super annoyed is like, okay, first of all, you run a trick play, right? Where it's like a double reverse, whatever.
Yeah.
And what it really looked like was basically like the Philly special, right? The one that, Nick Folk ran in the Super Bowl and all that stuff. Except that it looked horrible. Like he was like, oh yeah, we've had that ready to go for weeks. I'm like, it looked like shit. Like it looked terrible. Like the guy, I don't even remember who it was who had, was it Hudson or Williams that had the ball coming around the other way? Like, I don't even remember. But whoever it was who had the ball coming around the other way, they might have had Mateer in the end zone had they thrown it sort of right away. But then they ran a little bit, and then and then Fresno State realized that Mateer was all alone in the end zone, so they ran right at him, and then the whole thing was fucked up, right? And I'm just okay,
I say, you're putting the impetus on a wide receiver to make that quick decision.
Yeah. Like it's either throw it or run it, but like you can't be dorking around and like the spacing looked bad and like everything just looked pretty. The other trick play they ran looked the same in the sense that like it was like, yeah, cool, do a trick play, but also like it looked like the spacing was terrible. Like it looked like they'd run it like maybe once in practice. I'm sure they'd run it more than once, but
if you think back to the San Jose State game. The trick play, the pitch to Gene Janikowski, who also, by the way, you desperately need because he's doing all of your kicking. But like that also looked like, what the hell are they doing? Did they even? Did they just do this? Did they even try it against the defense in practice? Like the trick plays have been the trick plays have been wild. Like wildly bad.
They need to like hire Chris Peterson as a consultant or something. Bring him in and be like, hey Chris, come on, we're working on a trick play. Need a little right? Because I mean he had one like every damn game, and they always fucking worked. They always worked. So I don't know, man. If you're gonna go for it, if you're gonna go for two, I was gonna say put the ball in the hand of your quarterback and let him run a play because he's your best player. If you really want to go for it.
Was it? Sorry, it was before my time. It was kind of right before my time. But was it Colin Henderson, the wide receiver?
Yeah, Colin Henderson with like the infinity passer rating
for 7 touchdowns or something and 60 yards a pass or something. In his career. Yeah.
He was very, very good. That was the best part about it too. Was like everybody knew when he came on the field he was a threat to throw the. I mean, he's a pretty good receiver too. But it's like everybody knew he was a threat to throw the ball, and every time, man, he'd make a great throw. Yeah.
So, Fresno State, we survived 5-1. 5-1 feels great, honestly. That's a great spot to be in.
Yep.
They still that ceiling of 10-11 wins that we talked about earlier is still possible, still there because really, like again, the schedule the rest of the way is not tough. But if you're going to play like you did, and that game will be tough. So speaking of not tough teams that also, if you play poorly, could get you, which Boise State kind of found out a little bit for 3 quarters in Hawaii, is, Hawaii's coming to town for homecoming this weekend. Hawaii is, they've been really good defensively at home. Not quite as good on the road. They gave up 27 to a really, really, really bad San Diego State offense. UCLA's offense is terrible. Sam Houston State's offense is terrible. So, but they have been good at home, and I think it might have been Seth in our chat that we talked about how they have insane road splits, and they do, like they always do, because we see it with these Big Ten and ACC teams and stuff, that when teams have to travel 3 time zones, it gets tough, and so that becomes reverse for them when they come our way. Luckily for them, this is a day game. So, well, actually, that's bad because that means it's like 9 a.m. for them.
Yeah. I think that's a really important point, man. It's like it's gonna be 9:30 a.m. on their body clocks, and that's after flying to get to Pullman. I'm assuming they're gonna go to SeaTac and then to Pullman from there, or maybe
Yeah.
to Spokane and then down to
To
Pullman.
Spokane,
I don't know what teams do these days.
I know they don't got a
But-
ton of money, so
Yeah, so maybe it is fly to Spokane and then down.
Yeah.
But whatever it is, man, it's not the easiest journey in the world. They're going to be, I assume they're flying on Friday, because they're not probably staying 2 nights. They're, again, they don't have, they're not the richest program in the world. So they're flying on Friday, probably leaving early Friday morning, flying all day, landing. Look, we've all flown cross country, 3 time zones or whatever, man. It takes a couple days before you feel right. They're going to be kicking off at 9:30 a.m. their body clocks. Like, I don't
Which
know,
means
man.
you got to start
Yeah.
that. So if it's 9 a.m. when you're starting, the whole process is like 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And for the
'Cause they're
coaches
gonna
even
get
earlier.
up, eat breakfast, team breakfast, all
Yeah.
that stuff. Yeah.
So they're going to
Yep.
be getting up at like 7 a.m. or whatever, and then
Yeah.
they're going to have team breakfast, and then they're going to walk through and warm up, and they're in the stadium with their starting to put their uniforms on 2 hours before the game.
Yeah.
Like that's 7:30 in the morning for them.
Yep.
And obviously we saw like UW had to deal with that going to Iowa, and like they're gonna have to deal with that again going to Indiana. So sad, just big tears.
Yeah.
for them.
Yeah.
And we saw how well it went for UW, giving up 40 points to Iowa, which is honestly like,
Iowa.
I didn't know possible. I didn't even
Iowa.
know it was possible. Sorry, we have to talk about that. It's just hilarious. But
Well,
anyway, so
yeah, maybe
Hawaii,
we'll come back around.
offensively, I'm hoping that the defense can have a really nice game.
Hawaii's offense
got-
is horrible.
Yeah, they have a
Like
decent.
horrible.
They have a decent quarterback, but he's kind of a gunslinger a bit. He can run. He's athletic. He's kind of built like John Mateer. But and he just doesn't make as many plays with his feet, but he does run quite a bit. But he also gets sacked quite a bit. He's been sacked 21 times this season so far.
Yes. It's part of the reason why their rushing numbers are so terrible.
Yep. Yeah, because even their top running back's only getting 4 yards a carry.
Yes. I said
which,
part. I said part.
Yeah, part of the reason. It is actually a big part because he's been sacked 21 times.
Yes. That's a lot.
If you take out those, like he's actually a pretty decent runner.
Yeah.
But now his numbers look at 67 carries for 101 yards. We take out all those sacks, like he's probably more like 46 carries for like 220 or something,
Yeah.
So which is a lot better. So yeah, I think he's dangerous with his legs. If you let him get out of the pocket, he's gonna make you pay. But yeah, their offense has been really bad overall, averaging 21 points a game. I think they're 100 and I just put it in the chat, like something like 115th in SP plus.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
really,
the only
really bad.
the only two reasonably decent offensive performances they've had have been against Delaware State and Northern Iowa, and that's two FCS programs, and both at home, right? Outside of that, I mean, it's almost, I don't know, man. Like they've been, those are the only two games where they've been over 5 yards per play on offense. Every other game has been under 5 yards per play, and 5 yards per play is sort of like, if you're below that, you that's bad. That's real bad. Which I made the point that, this past weekend for us, we were at 4.4 yards per play, which again, real 4.3, real bad. Right. But I also said, okay, so in, I don't know, whatever it was, Ben Arbuckle's been in charge for 18 games, and we've had, I think, 7 games at or below 5 yards of play. So that's not great, but these guys are at or below 5 yards of play in 4 games out of 6, which includes every FBS opponent that they've played: UCLA, Sam Houston State, San Diego State, Boise State. There's really no way to slice it. They are a bad offense. The quarterback, like you said, can be dangerous with his legs. has thrown a fair number of touchdowns. He's averaging about 2 touchdowns a game, which is not bad. But he's only completed over 60% of his passes one time in 6 games. So not a super accurate thrower, not a super explosive thrower. I think most games he's right around 6.5 yards per attempt, which, 7.5 is sort of like the cutoff for, okay, we're kind of gaining what we need to gain on our passing plays. So anyway, I think you put it all together, their offense is quite bad. And that's good because, our defense, as well as they played in that game overall on Saturday, the line, I think the line is one of those spots where it's like, I think we just kind of are what we are at this point. We're not going to get a ton of sacks. We did get a little bit of quarterback pressure in this game, but not get a ton of sacks. And then, we weren't super great against the run. I mean, we weren't facing Ashton Genty this time, which definitely helps, but
they're
not great.
They're pretty bad against the run.
Yeah.
Because
this should be a get right game on that front.
Backup running back, you're given 6+ yards a carry to.
Yeah.
I don't think they had a single negative rushing play that wasn't a sack.
No, I don't think so.
I think
I did
most
not
of
cross
them
it
were
off
at
our
least-
bingo. Our bingo has a running
yeah.
back tackle for a loss. Did not cross one
Yeah,
of those off.
they definitely. Yeah, and I don't think they usually it was at least 3 yards. They were getting 3, 4, 5 minimum.
Yep.
Over and over and over again, and that
very frustrating.
That helps. That helps a lot if you can run on first down and get at least 3. That makes a big difference. So that's concerning. And their running backs just weren't that good coming in. And I think none of them were over around. They were all around 4. So you're looking at Hawaii, sure, their running back's only 4, but he's only their top running back 6.5 carries a game. That's it. And he's played every game. And so they're spreading it around a little bit. There's a few guys that get carries, but they really don't. You're looking at running back carries. They're maybe doing 14, 15 a game.
Yeah.
It's
not very many.
They're not handing the ball off that much.
Nope.
I think
they are, by the way, I think they are still running. I think they're still running a real run and shoot there.
Yeah.
I think Rolovich left that behind. So.
Yeah. And I think Braden Shager will scramble, and he does have some nice scramble ability, so he can burn you that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's throwing the ball 40 times a game. And yeah, like you said, 6.6 yards an attempt. If you're throwing the ball that much, it's just not. No. That's just not ideal.
No, it's not.
Yeah. So I would expect the defense to have a good game, and if they don't, then that's pretty alarming, especially at home.
That would be extremely alarming.
Especially gets at home against Hawaii.
Yeah.
Who's, as we mentioned, the stuff they're gonna have to go through to get to Pullman and play at 9:30 body clock time. But let's flip it around. The Hawaii defense, I said, it looks a lot better on the road. I just don't know what to expect.
Kid cameo.
Kid cameo.
Good night, Tristan. I love you. All right.
All right.
He was like,
can't hide
shit,
that,
there's video.
Can't hide that stuff on camera. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
I know he's finishing his homework, wanted to say goodnight. So yeah, there we go.
Well, that's nice. That's very sweet.
It is nice. My kids love me, I think.
Yeah. Sometimes they act like it.
Occasionally.
Yeah, but it's hard to know what to expect from the Wazoo offense.
No, wait. I know what to expect. They're going to hand the ball off 20 times in this game.
Yeah. And it'll probably work out.
Yeah, it should. It better fucking work out against these guys.
So, interesting thing, I looked, and Hawaii has a pretty, they're around top 20 in tackles for loss. 11 of them came in their first game against, Delaware State.
Delaware State.
and 10 of them, so out of 42, and then 10 of them came against San Diego State, who has an FCS worst level offense. So that you're looking at half of those 40. The rest, it's been like 4 or 5 a game, which is still pretty good. But not, that would be more like 60th or something, 70th.
Right.
But WSU does in their running game and in passing game take more than the average number of negative plays. So that is something that obviously Hawaii is trying to do, and we could be susceptible to that. Now, they don't sack the quarterback a ton. They have 12 sacks on the year, but that's still an issue. I still think, I hope that they don't have a couple bad runs and to be like, no, it's done, it's over, like they seem to do against Fresno.
I don't think they will, man. Like one way or another, they are going to run the fucking ball. Like, I think it's going to happen. I think that Jake Dickert has made his intentions very clear. And I think he just is like, no, we have to make this part of our identity. We have to be physical. We have to go. And even
we also
if
have the
it
personnel
doesn't,
for it.
Yeah. It's like, even if it doesn't work out occasionally, like you got to you still got to do it. You still have to do it. You still have to attack that part of the field. And I guess that's where I get a little, you mentioned the phrase like that screen games are an extension of the run game, right? Which I think is sort of true in the sense that you are, or long handoff, right? Like that kind of stuff. Like, I think that's sort of true in the sense that you're talking about, something that is essentially attacking near the line of scrimmage, right? But also at the same time, I mean, you're attacking a totally different part of the field, right? You're attacking along the edges, unless you're doing like maybe a running back screen, which we did do one of those, didn't really work out great, but they did try one of those in the second half. So, I mean, granted, if you're talking just sort of like, oh, it's a long handoff. Okay, fine. But it's a long handoff to the edges, right? Like you're basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to force the defense to defend the entire width of the field, right? So, and that was always Mike Leach's thing with the air raid was, okay, we're trying to make teams defend not just like in this little area, but we're trying to make them defend all of this to the widths, to the sideline to sideline. And then we're also trying to make them defend, 30 yards downfield. So if they have to defend 50 yards wide and 30 yards or 40 yards deep, that's a huge amount of space to cover, and they can't cover all of it. Okay, great. But it's like, okay, if you're asking them though to only cover the edges and then, from like 5 to 30 yards downfield, but there's like this box in the middle that they don't have to defend, like that's advantage to the defense. And I mean, even Mike Leach recognized, you had to run the ball. If they were not going to defend that part of the field, you had to run the ball in there. Now, if he was like, okay, if they defend that part of the field, then we'll attack the other, 80% of the field that we can attack. But, he was like, you have to make them, even he believed you have to make them defend that part of the field. And the reality was we did not really make them defend that part of the field. And I just like this weekend, I don't know, man, I will be floored. I will fall out of my chair. I don't know. I'm not going to eat a shoe or anything like that this time, but I will that's like an old reference for old Kook Center readers. But I will be floored if we don't have 20 handoffs to tailbacks. Truly. And I'm not talking keepers. I'm not talking 20 rushes. I'm talking 20 balls going to Wayshawn Parker, Javensky Schlembaker, and Leo Pulalasi. And I don't know what the divide's going to be, 15-5 and whatever. But I mean, it's going to be something like that because it's like Jake Dickert has said, like, this is what I want and you need to do it. It's going to happen. And I wouldn't be shocked also if Arbuckle was like, fine, I'll fucking do it. Let's see how it goes. And if it doesn't work, whatever, but they are going to, I don't know, man, unless they are having like really no success, unless like Hawaii's getting those tackle for loss, like you talked about just kind of repeatedly. I mean, really, unless it's truly negative, which it wasn't against Fresno State. Like that was the part that was so super annoying was it was not exclusively negative. They had been pretty positive. They had a few bad plays there at the end of the first half. That should not have been enough to deter them. So this weekend, I mean, unless it is like really bad, they're going to stick with it. I don't know what the rest of it looks like, but I know that like they are going to hand the ball off. I think there's no question about that.
Yeah. Well, I won't be reacting in real time at all because I'll be at a music festival in Las
You'll be
Vegas
at a concert
with 70,000 people in one spot. I probably won't even be able to check the score on the phone, to be honest. But I guess we'll be checking the score when we get done at like 11:30. But yeah, I guess after we've talked about it, we'll get into the predictions. I'll go first this time, Jeff. I've been thinking about it a lot. I think the defense is going to hold them to what they should be doing in this game. I say, and I think that WSU is going to put up some points. I think that Hawaii is not going to be at its best. I'll say 38-14 Cougs.
Okay. I like that. I'm going to go even bigger than that. I'm going to go 42-7. Like I really don't think Hawaii is going to be able to do much offensively. I think very, very little. And then I think that our offense I think that running the ball is going to be purposeful. I think that everybody's going to be out to prove a point this weekend with running the ball. I think that's going to set them up to do some fun things with the passing game. I think it's going to set up some explosive plays that way. I think John Mateer is only going to need to throw the ball about 25 times maybe. And I think they're just going to, I think it's going to be comfortable. I think it's going, I don't know if it's going to be easy, but I think it's going to be comfy. And I think they're going to roll with it. If it doesn't go that way, I think then we're going to have sort of a whole nother thing to talk about as we sort of evaluate this team week to week, because this really is a game. Now, you always worry about if the team is thinking this is a game they should win easily. But I think, from a fan perspective, it's like there's really no reason why they shouldn't win this fairly. Everything is pointing in the right direction. They're home again for the first time in a month, right? They've played 2 road games and there was a bye week in there. So they're first time in a month playing at home. It is homecoming. I know that there's still lots of tickets available. But hopefully I think the weather's supposed to be okay. Hopefully a number of people will make the trip. Students, hopefully, it's homecoming, should be out in full force, at least for the first half. So like you put all that together and I think they're going to be rejuvenated by being home. I mean, I think that's a thing that, we always have to remind ourselves. I mean, these are, guys in college, very emotional, not fully formed brains yet. All of those things. And I think all of those factors, when you put them together, there's just going to be a real, I think, comfort to being home. And I really do think this thing could roll, and get pretty out of hand for Hawaii. So I'm going 42-7. I think, which to be honest is very funny too. Like all week I've been looking at the line. I think the Cougs are favored by about 3 touchdowns. I've been looking at that line going, God damn, that's a lot of points. And then here I am, predicting a 5 touchdown win. So I don't know. Maybe I'm more confident in it than I thought I was.
Well, if I hope they don't, ruin. I'll be walking over to, I think, watch Census Fail, to like right as it ends. I hope that they are in a position where they can't be saved.
Yeah.
I hope we're not calling all cars. I just I hope when I'm watching Taking Back Sunday, it's more like I'm feeling like they could slit my throat, and with my one last gasping breath, I'd apologize for bleeding on their shirt. And I really don't want to be watching My Chemical Romance and being like, I'm not okay, although they are playing the Black Parade album, so they won't be singing that song. But anyways,
I love it.
So yeah, sorry, I had to get all that in.
That's fantastic.
So I'm gonna have fun. Hopefully I can check the score. I know me and my sister are gonna be like wanting to check the score.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
You're gonna be checking the score.
They've figured, like, last time it was just me and one other friend, my friend Michelle, that were at the festival together, and we would text each other, and they would take like an hour to get through. We'd be like, "Where are you? Who are you watching right now? We should meet, like get some lunch or something." So it'll be interesting. But yeah, Jeff, I guess now we can like show our beers on the screen.
Beer visuals.
We have visuals now. I don't have to like describe it with my words.
I would imagine Jeff, most people are still going to be listening only to the audio version, but
then they can run to their YouTubes and watch.
They could run to the YouTube.
But Jeff, so what are you drinking?
Yeah, all right. So this beer that's almost gone now. This is the here you go. Put it up on the screen there. The Single Hill Local Knowledge Double Dry Hopped West Coast IPA. Super delicious, old school style IPA. By the way, made with Equinaut, Rawaka, and Mosaic hops. And I don't really know what any of that means. I just know they were fun to say. But yeah, delicious double IPA, West Coast style, which of course is always fun when we throw back to those. I think you and I both have reached a point where like if we're going to go IPA, generally we're going to go that direction. I do like a hazy still from time to time. I had a great hazy fresh hop last week from Sig, which was fantastic. But like generally if I'm not doing the, occasionally I'll do the hazy and get all that citrus stuff. But yeah, the West Coast IPAs are where it's at usually when I'm going IPAs these days. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Delicious. Can always count on Single Hill. You may have heard of it, Craig.
Yeah. From the great city of Yakima, Washington. How
about you, man?
I'm drinking. I might have drank this one last year during fresh hop season on the pod. I don't know. But I'm having a Stoop Fresh Hop Fiend, which is honestly almost every year, like among the best.
Yes, that is a must drink every year.
This is a Fresh Hop IPA. They also have a Pilsner version, which is also delicious.
Yep, they're both great.
So that the IPA is green. The Fresh Hop Pilsner one is silver. They're both really good. This is just it's a West Coast style IPA.
Yep.
That Stoop, I don't even know if Stoop does a hazy. I think they don't like doing them. Almost all their stuff's West Coast. But yeah, it's delicious. It's right on point. It's right up there with the Bellbreaker / Russian River one I had last week. I'm still celebrating fresh hop season. There's still some getting released. I know Cloudburst and Holy Mountain released their yearly Wet Wired. They call it Wet Wired collab, which is a hazy, but it's usually pretty damn good. So they just released that. I think they're releasing it tomorrow or Friday or something. I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, fresh hop season. The last beers are getting released, but that means like there's beers have been released the last couple of weeks. So still, if you want to try them, check them out. Go to your favorite beer shop, and they'll probably have plenty of fresh hops available. And then of course I have the sidecar chilling in the Yeti. Cooler here.
You mean one of these?
I know this little beer you heard of it called Old Crimson. I still have. I don't know what you got, Jeff. I still have the wrapped. Pike version, that were produced at Pike.
I have one of those in the fridge, and I'm just kind of saving it. Yeah, I have the printed can from Fremont. So
I prefer the printed on the can one. Look. I like it better. Also, the wrap comes off in the cooler if you're leaving it in cooler during tailgating. Ooh, ow!
There we go.
Yeah, so I still have a ton.
If people want to know what Craig is owing about, I'm pouring my.
Sorry, we have to. Yeah, some
legendary
of you
lager here
see.
on the screen. So
yeah,
there we go.
Into a Kook pint glass. Beautiful stuff. But yeah. We got to talk about the helmets they're wearing this weekend.
Yeah, we do.
Damn it! I have a mug with that logo on it, but it was dirty.
I have a shirt with that logo.
I have a
shirt.
lot. That is aside from the main logo. That is my favorite logo. Like I love that logo. This drunken
I
sailor.
can't
Coug.
believe. Okay, so for people who don't know, like they're putting the drunken sailor Coug on the helmet, which is fantastic.
He's like this. He's like,
oh yeah,
maybe he's kind of stoned. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. You know what? I think you're right. I think he looks more stoned than drunk. He definitely looks more stoned than drunk.
Sobriety test.
Yeah.
He's not counting back. He's not doing the ABCs backwards.
I
know that.
Not counting backwards. Yeah, like it's awesome, and I frankly, I'm kind of stunned that they did it because you know. I mean, I guess they're kind of rolling that direction with some creative stuff with Wazoo on the helmets and things like that.
Yeah.
So maybe they're more open to those sorts of things, but like, you know, WSU has been sort of famous for kind of like, I don't know, burying this old stuff. Like they're very like, and I think that like the casual fan doesn't know this, but they are like extremely brand and trademark conscious. So like, I don't know, whatever it was 6 years ago, right? When the Gardner Minshew stuff was going on, we partnered with Breaking Tea, which is like when we were at Coug Center, partnered with Breaking Tea to make some t-shirts that were like mustache mentality. And it had like a guy with some aviator glasses with a funky mustache. And it was like very clearly a reference to Gardner Minshew, but it wasn't technically Gardner Minshew. Right. So we're selling these t-shirts and we're profiting off Gardner Minshew's name, image, and likeness, but I still feel guilty about. Don't ask me about it. Anyway, if I ever see him, I'll buy him a beer. But I got this letter. I got an email from WSU that was basically like, "Hey, if you would like to continue to do this sort of thing, just let us know. We'll be happy to partner with you." Basically inferring that I was that we were like encroaching on their trademark status or something. By selling these shirts. And I was like, what are you talking about? This is ridiculous. So they are very they have very tight control over their trademarks and different things and logos.
If you recall, Nike actually made a similar shirt.
Yeah.
That year. They had
there's
aviator
a sweatshirt.
Mustache. Yeah.
Oh, that one.
Yeah. It was like a t-shirt. It had aviator. It's like, so like, I'm guessing they knew Nike was going to make that one. And they're like,
probably.
Too similar.
Yeah. So with the drunken Coug Sailor, like, I mean, Sarah's got a sweatshirt with that on it. I've got it's a crimson sweatshirt. It's a Nike. I've got
a few years ago, it was really hard to find merch. Like I'm talking even just like 4 years ago, it was hard to find merch. In the last few years, I think honestly, I think that they saw like what Home Field was doing and the whole like all the vintage stuff has gotten so big. You can there has been all season a quarter zip long sleeve on Fanatics with that Sailor logo on it. It's everywhere now. And it's so it said it was sideline gear, so I guarantee they wear those on Saturday.
Awesome. That'd be so cool.
Because I was like, why do they call this sideline gear? They always just wear the logo on. But I've been almost bought it, but every time like Fanatics, they say everything's on sale. That doesn't count. Like, no, like it's like, nope, not
that one.
Can't like 25% off. You put in the coupon item doesn't count. You're like, damn it. Which is weird. Cause honestly on Fanatics, usually like the codes work for like everything, but not that one. But yeah, so I'm sure they have it in the, I guess I hadn't seen it in the bookie last time I was there. But it's I buy a lot of stuff with that on it. I have this like long sleeve hoodie t-shirt with like a bit it on it, and I buy like almost anything. Obviously there's the Home Field shirt that has it on it. I have another shirt I bought at Crimson and Gray that has it on it. Like I have this like, back when I couldn't find any of the gear, I found it like on this other vintage site that's terrible. And I think I've since donated the hoodie. So Amanda bought it for me, and you can't even see like the outline. Like it has the logo on it, but like it's not filled in at all or anything. So you can't even see it on the hoodie. So I think
Yeah.
If you go to like Tacoma Goodwill, someone may have bought it from there at some point because you just like couldn't even see the logo. I was like, I'm never gonna wear this. I got to get it out of my closet. But yeah, it's I love that logo, and it looks really good on the helmet. Like they did the logo pops. I think it's gonna look really good. Now it's not gonna be that recognizable Cougar branding.
Yeah,
but it's fun anyway. Like it looks cool.
I would definitely like it better.
I'd like to see the. Yeah, go ahead.
I think we're about to say the same thing, so go ahead.
I think it'd be better if they threw the logo, the WSU logo, on like the sleeves, because right now it's small. It's on the hip, and it's on the thigh, and it's a little small one on the top of the chest, and I mean we still got to have that logo in there, or you got to go full like. Have the little sailor guy everywhere, like all over the like. That
would be very funny. That would be very.
Someone
funny.
said I saw someone comment on that.
Drunken sailors everywhere.
I saw someone comment on the Instagram post. New midfield logo. That'd be pretty funny. They did.
It would be funny.
We do not have the money.
I do hate to break it to everybody. The midfield logo is actually stitched into the turf. Yeah. It's not actually painted on. It's actually stitched in there. So sorry, everyone. You're not going to see that on the midfield logo, but it would, or the midfield, turf logo, but it would be very cool if they did that. It would definitely be cool. But
I've had what would you do with a drunken sailor? Stuck in my head all day since they
I just
unveiled
love
that.
We're
morning.
like embracing like all these like alternate branding things that are unique to WSU. Like I think that's the key. Like I would love, we're definitely in agreement on this. We've, talked about this with other people, but like, we would love it if, Wazoo would sort of become the go-to, just sort of like shorthand branding for the school. Like,
yes. Yeah.
Obviously Go Cougs is a thing, we say to each other, whatever, but also like that has, I don't know, for whatever reason been commandeered by BYU basically. And
there's a lot more BYU fans than Wazoo fans.
There are. That is accurate. And so, it's Go Cougs is kind of become their thing. And that honestly, that's where like the GFC thing came from. We were like, okay, well, Go Cougs, like fucking BYU's got this thing. Well, we're just gonna be like, go fucking Cougs, and BYU's never gonna take that. So that'll be fine. So I do love that we are sort of embracing these different ideas of the branding, that we're not.
Now, Jeff, if we ever see GFC, GFC on the chest, we might have to send a cease and desist.
Yeah, we would actually. I think we're gonna need to file a little trademark. A little trademark on that one. Like, wouldn't it be awesome though? Like, okay, so like, remember with the Sounders, like they did the whole like "you will hear us" on the back of the jerseys, and that was like the Sounder at Heart thing. And I was like, what the fuck? So that's what we need, right? We need like the team to like have like their jerseys, and then just have like GFC. Yeah, like up on the front, helmet. Right? Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Right on the front of the helmet.
On the top of the helmet.
Yeah.
Top of the helmet. GFC.
We got to.
Although I do think they should always have Wazoo right there. They should always have. Yeah, they used to.
So maybe GFC like on the back of the jersey or something, like right on the collar. Just a little GFC right there.
I just want like basketball jerseys that there's GFC.
Yes, that would be good.
If we get if they ask us to design a basketball jersey,
they'd be in trouble. They'd be in trouble.
Oh man. So yeah, I'm hyped on the helmet. I bet it's gonna look real good in the game.
Yep.
It's gonna look good on TV on the CW. Back on over the air. We love our over the air.
By the way,
TV.
Just like side note that we were not planning on talking about, but like the Fox broadcast from last weekend pissed me off so extensively. And we don't need to harp too much on like why it pissed us off. I mean, like everybody watched that game, whatever, right? But what is sort of like sticking out to me is how great it is to turn on the fucking CW for those games, which, we've only had a couple of those at this point, but like those games are like a celebration of how awesome we are. And it's we have never had that. Not even with Pac-12 networks.
Because
did we
they were
ever
always
actually have
celebrating the other team.
right? Like,
Yeah.
and it's like, man, like when I turn on ESPN and they've got, an SEC game on or something, like it's always a celebration of how amazing the SEC is. Oh, this is SEC football on ESPN, and the SEC is incredible, and the SEC. And it's like, we have never had that. And like to go onto the CW and have it be like just like a 3-hour infomercial for WSU is like cool as fuck. And it's like, I don't know, man. That is the thing I'm looking forward to the most, is that like, it's not just that like, it's this, like I said, 3-hour infomercial for WSU, but it's also like the fact that like they actually care about the broadcast. They actually care about the product. Like they want it to be good. They want it to look good because like the CW's got some ACC games. They've got us, they've got Oregon State, and that's it. Right. And so we are one of their essentially premier partners at this point, and it's in their best interest to like make our broadcast look as good as possible and make it as professional as possible and pump it up. And I'm like, oh my God, like the difference between that and the shit that we watched on FS1 this past weekend, and also the game 2 weeks in a row, 2 games in a row, right, with Boise State. Like, I'm like, it's fucking embarrassing. And FS1, Fox, like they've got, Fox has, Big Ten football and whatever, Big 12 football. And it's just like, they're using the Mountain West, which, so when we end up on FS1, that's because it's a Mountain West home game, right?
Yeah.
Like they're using those as just filler, right? They're just filling time. They're selling ads off this time. That's why the games are at, 4 o'clock, 7 o'clock, right? They're filling those West Coast, time slots. Like, and it's clear that they just don't give one shit about it. And ESPN was the same way with any Pac-12 game that was on there. Yeah, and especially basketball, right? Like, goddamn, every fucking Corey Williams broadcast on ESPNU, and I'm just like, God. And so
was it Adrian Branch?
Yes, that's the other one
in his bedroom.
Good God. So horrible. And he would call like 5 of our games, and like even by the 5th game he still had no idea who we were. He never had once traveled to Pullman. This was post COVID too. They were still doing that. Yes.
I get it during COVID, but we found out during COVID that they just miss a lot.
Yeah.
There is value to them being in person.
Huge value. Like if they can only see the same things I can see from my couch,
what we're seeing.
There's no value.
They're watching the exact same broadcast that we are.
Yes.
At the same time. Like they have no idea beyond, like they're getting the same angles. So like they had, and they don't have spotters, like, because they're not sending spotters to like text them or something, like so because usually a broadcast team has spotters that are feeding them information, player numbers, penalties, all that, so that they can, report the right stuff and not sound like morons like they've sounded. Like when Durant had the interception and they were like, the ref just over his head, stop the clock.
Yeah.
They thought it was incomplete. The whole Golden Tate and Russell Wilson situation again. But they thought that they were signaling incomplete while the WSU team is running off the field and the Fresno team is running off the field. Like, what do you think?
It's so ridiculous.
And there was that. We have no idea what happened. The face masking penalty it was a 3rd down, and then they just said it was a face mask, but there was no replay. They had no idea that it happened until Fresno was like moving forward and like putting down. We didn't know what's happened.
Yep.
That play was in the WSU highlight package because it was a 3rd down stop, and it was in the WSU highlight package because there's no indication that there's a flag or anything. And so, like, it's embarrassing. I'm so glad we're going to be back on the CW. They're going to talk about the Cougs, and now they're 5-1, and Pullman's the greatest fucking place in the world, and it's going to be amazing.
That's right. I don't know who's on the call, but I hope it's like Ted Robinson and Ryan Leaf, and we just get talking about how fucking amazing Pullman is.
Michael Bumpus and JB Long or something.
JB Long.
I don't know who it is.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
give me some more of that.
Just some West Coast fucking guys
West Coast
who know
bias,
how to pump
man.
up.
Let's go.
Yeah, give me that. Not just West Coast bias, just fucking full on Beavs and Cougs bias.
Yes.
I love it. They have the CW studio that just started out just a bunch of Beavs and Cougs helmets.
Yes.
And now it's like Beavs and Cougs, and then they have one helmet from each of the teams that they've added. But it's still just like Beavs and Cougs everywhere. Yeah. And so it's fun. Like, let's enjoy that one part of it that we have for this year, you know? But yeah, like, honestly, the ratings are better when they're on the CW, obviously, over the air. We knew they were going to be bad. Like FS1 up against Oregon and up against Ohio State, up against a couple of their big SEC games. But why would, if you tuned into that game as a neutral, like, and you watch it for a couple minutes, you'd be like, this is stupid. Like, even if it's close, you're like, they have no idea what's going on. And you know, mileage may vary on Petros Papadakis. I think I like him.
I like him too
on the call, but I don't like him because he refuses to go call in person. And I'm
apparently
like,
that's the deal.
He is not that valuable. I'm sorry, he doesn't add that much value that you the value that is lost when he's not there. Okay, we ranted on that way too long, but fuck that. Well, so happy to have you back, CW. Our saviors, our kings, our queens. Love it.
Yes. Now pay us a whole bunch of money so that we can stay on the CW.
Yeah, we'll do a show for CW.
Yeah.
We won't cuss.
I mean, Emma got a show. We can get a show.
I mean, Emma's cooler than us, but and so is Ashton.
It's true.
So
they're like
much
way
cooler than us.
Funnier and cleverer and younger.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Not as beardy.
No. They are definitely not
beards.
as beardy. That's for
no
sure.
No gray in the beards.
No. I do have my microphone positioned strategically to block most of my gray hairs.
Oh, don't
which
worry,
are
Jeff.
Like right
Whenever
on
you
my
turn
chin.
your head. Turn your head.
There it is.
I have like a little bit, but you can't really tell on the camera.
Yeah. I
for
know.
now.
I don't know how much longer I've got before my entire beard is taken over, but
you'll just look like you know what you're talking about. You know, people will respect you.
That's what people say.
That was the word I was thinking of.
Because I'm a man. Means when I get old and I get gray hair, I'm distinguished. And I'm not just old.
All right. Let's run down volleyball, soccer.
Volleyball.
Volleyball.
Big comeback win against Santa
baby.
Clara. Yeah, how about that? I watched, the 4th, 5th set of that match. That was pretty kick-ass.
They've been killer in 5-set matches this year.
Yeah, which
I think they're like 6-1 or something.
Yeah, you and I talk a lot about like variance and close matches, close games, things like that. Typically, it's not a great strategy to play close games, close matches, but it's working out for these guys.
But when you have Katie Ryan just go into killer mode, which she did that.
She totally did.
Like fucking 30 kills, like, which is just an insane number.
And she would have had more, but So Cougs won this 5-set crazy match against Santa Clara. At Santa Clara. Santa Clara is not very good. They're 1-5 now in West Coast Conference, 5-10 overall. Not very good. But they had this libero who, I swear to God, I don't know how many digs she had, but it was a lot. It was a lot of digs. Katie Ryan might have had more than 30 if it wasn't for this fucking libero who was digging out like it was insane. Digging out like everything. But, thank goodness Katie Ryan just kind of kept pounding away and they did it.
she's done that a couple against Portland a few weeks ago. They were down in the 5th set, and she went on like a personal like 7-point run, and I think she scored like 8 or 9 points in a row overall just on her own.
Yep.
Because she is very much a power 5, power 4 like talent.
Yep.
And obviously also, size and strength and like athletic ability. Like she's big and tall and strong and hits the ball with velocity. Against, you see that like come out, like that advantage come out in some of these WCC games, I think, against some of the worst teams. Like she just really like will dominate them. And she was a really good Pac-12 player, and now she's an even better West Coast Conference player. And I'm so happy she stayed. Like, thank you, Katie, because they have needed her this year. And right now they're sitting in a good spot. They're 5-1 in conference play. They did lose to Pepperdine. Pepperdine's really good. But other than that, like there's a lot. They're going to be the better team in a lot of the games that they have left. And if they win the West Coast Conference, you got to go to the NCAA tournament. So that's they are an affiliate member and they're allowed to do that. So, so they got a lot to play for still. Now, if we flip it to soccer, had a pretty solid weekend. They took down St. Mary's. Of course, scoring is an issue. Took down St. Mary's, a big win, 1-0. And then we're tied with Portland. Again, if you could just score more than one goal, that would be great. But I'm not sure we're allowed.
This is like the Bernie Sanders meme where I am once again asking for you to score more than one goal.
But yeah, it puts them, Oregon State apparently has just come alive in West Coast Conference play. And they're kind of doing what you would have hoped that we would have done in West Coast Conference play. And they're 4-0-1. They're leading the league by 3 points. WSU is now remains tied with Portland for 4th. It's in the 8. So they're, their game against Oregon State, if they want a chance to win the conference, is going to be huge. Obviously, Pepperdine's good. Santa Clara's good. So those teams might actually prevail eventually. But, they kept themselves with this weekend. It was big to beat St. Mary's, keep themselves in the top half of the conference. Keep yourself in like a positive record.
Yeah.
It's just, is there a possibility left to make the tournament out large? Probably not. But they're keeping themselves.
I think it's possible.
Yeah,
I think it's possible. They're going to have to finish really strong. If they don't win the conference, they're going to have to finish real strong. The bigger issue is their next 3 games are all on the road. They have yet to win a road game this year. They are 0-4-2 on the road. Now, some of that is non-conference playing who they've played, right? They played at Georgia, at Stanford,
at Utah State,
at Utah
number
State,
7, at Pepperdine, number 13.
Yes. So these things, these are tough road opponents. But at the same time, there is, maybe there's something to that. They've got at Gonzaga, at Santa Clara, at San Francisco, their next 3 games. So if they can't win all 3 of those games, then you're probably out, right? They really probably need, if we're looking at, so they got 5 games left, at Gonzaga, at Santa Clara, at San Francisco, Oregon State, and Pacific. In theory, they are quite a bit better than all of those teams except for Oregon State, right? So if they go 4-0-1 in those games, maybe you got a shot, right? Maybe you finish second in the league, and you're feeling pretty okay. But, anything less than that, you're probably not doing great. And offense has been a continual issue for the soccer team for years, right?
Since Morgan Weaver left, really.
Yeah. And I mean, it would be great to have Margie DeTrizio right about now instead of having her play at Georgia, but
she's playing really well in Georgia. She
yeah.
has, last time I
played
looked,
really,
she had
really
8
well in
goals,
Georgia.
and
Yeah.
I think another like 3 or 4 assists.
Yeah. So it's going to take a really strong run here for them to try and get back in the tournament. If they don't, I don't know. Like, I don't know at what point you start asking some questions about Todd Schulenberger. That probably sounds a little crazy given, what he's done with us, but things just haven't seemed to be the same since COVID. And it's not his fault that, COVID really screwed up a really good thing. He would have had Trinity Rodman, he would have, all these things, but at the same time, like, it's a bit of a struggle right now, and they haven't been at the standard that WSU soccer has set for a few years now. And that's pretty concerning.
Well, when they set an extremely high standard in 2019 and went to the College Cup,
Yep.
Final Four, and led in the semifinal game.
Yep.
And then since then, they went to the tournament once, I think.
Yeah, I think they went in 21.
21. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right. So they've missed it 2 years in a row. This year is shaping up to look like a third year. They could change that.
They missed it in that spring season.
Yeah.
That weird spring season, at COVID season.
Yeah.
But yeah, where they should have had Trinity Rodman, but that would have been nice.
That would have been nice. That would have been really, really nice.
I will never not lament that because I think they would have won a national championship.
Yeah.
But
fuck COVID for so many reasons, but especially that one.
That would have been really fun.
It would have been really fun
because that College Cup run was super fun.
Yes, it was.
But yeah, I don't know. We got to quit ending the pod with the soccer talk because like it hasn't been like
it is
they
a
did
little
have
bit of
like
a downer.
I will say it was a decent weekend. We really were hoping they would get all 6 though.
Yes.
If they would have got all 6 points, like they would have actually been in really good position in the league. But you got to score more than one goal a match to do that.
Got to put the ball in the net.
You literally like if you can't score, you're ruined by one mistake, one freak play, like one amazing kick from the other team. It's like, yeah.
Yep.
But anyways, so Jeff, we do have a YouTube channel. If anyone wants, where you could watch us at it's Podcast versus Everyone on YouTube. There all the previous episodes are on there.
Yeah,
well, I don't know how far it goes back. It goes just audio. But this will be the first video one if it works.
Video.
Maybe
how about that?
Maybe the video didn't work. I don't know. But yeah, you should do that. But really, you should subscribe to the newsletter. Podcastversuseveryone.com. Jeff writes some great stuff. A great critical review of Ben Arbuckle this week, which I think was fair. I don't think you were too mean, Jeff.
Thank you.
And then lots of he has his game day guides, which I think I don't know, Jeff, if you've been putting those behind the paywall or not.
Yes, yeah, those are for our subscribers only. The game day guides. So
the paid subscribers, right?
Paid subscribe. Yeah, sorry. Yes, that is important.
And that
distinction.
To mention, we do have a paid subscription. You can become a premium Podcast versus Everyone member for $5 a month or $50 a year, or is it just $5? I don't know if it's still
that's that. Right. That's right.
I don't know if we're still doing. Are we still doing the matching, Jeff?
We are not. We are not.
Well, that is over. You missed it.
Maybe I will. If you sign up, maybe I will. Maybe we'll do that.
But some of that money goes to Jeff and I, and we give money to the collective.
That is true. That is true.
Maybe we'll give more money if we're getting more money. Pretty much all the money I make through Coug Media stuff just goes to Wazoo. That's how I view it.
Pretty much.
Yeah. That's how I view it, and that's how it is reported. So yeah, you can subscribe to that. The best part is our Slack. The Slack is amazing.
Yes. Super fun.
We may have gotten some good hotel deals this week. that
was
I dropped
pretty
in the
fun.
Slack. I don't know if those end up being real.
Let's see.
But,
Got us some cheap Apple Cup tickets. Got us some cheap hotel rooms for next year's Apple Cup. I don't know, man.
Yep.
So somebody on Slack, I think it was Rick, said that the membership at the membership fee for the Podcast versus Everyone premium membership has paid for itself. So I think it's a pretty ringing endorsement right there.
I think for a lot of people, anyone who got that magic Apple Cup ticket link definitely paid for itself in that.
Yes, for sure.
Especially after how the game ended.
Yep.
So that Slack is a blast. And we got cool people like Michael Preston in there, PJ Kendall from Coug Center.
Yeah.
A little guy named, I don't know if you heard him, his name's Jamie Vinnick.
Jamie Vinnick.
Yeah.
Yeah, who's that guy?
Anyone's ever heard of him. Coug Fan Zone. But yeah, it's a good time.
Come
we
hang
have
out.
fun. It's a lot of fun. We have game threads. There was, I believe, over 1,000 comments in the game thread for Fresno State. It's like old school, like Coug Center stuff going on in there. So if you were a fan of it back then, those game threads, they're kind of alive and well. So check it out. That's $5 a month, and it goes to support two Cougs doing a Coug podcast. But yeah, Jeff, with that, we asked for money, so I guess we could say,
wait,
go
hold on.
fucking Cougs.
Go fucking
wait,
Cougs.
what?
Hold on, I got to push the button here. There we go.
All right.
We got the outro music going now. So yeah,
Nice.
go fucking Cougs, Craig. Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Get vaccinated.
Jab.
Support a union. And vote
Absolutely.
no on all those fucking shitty initiatives.
All of them. Every
All of
single
them.
one. They are
Every
a
single
bunch
one of those
bullshit.
shitty initiatives by that rich motherfucker. Vote no in Washington
No.
State.
They're not for you.